Hello, this is Fear Dragon, and welcome to Breaking Out, the show about North American StarCraft 2 players. Here on this show, we spend 1 week highlighting an up-and-coming North American player. Throughout the week, we find out more about the player's history, their personality, and their playstyle over the course of 6 short episodes. On Monday, we'll interview the player and find out more about them. Tuesday through Thursday, we'll watch a game from each of the various matchups casted by your very own Fear Dragon. On Friday, we'll check out a generally awesome game with some sick play, and on Saturday, we'll kick it back with the player and have some wacky fun with some randomly selected events like handicap ladder matches, karaoke, and dance contests. Each episode aims to be about 20 to 30 minutes long, so you can learn more about the North American StarCraft 2 scene without interrupting your busy WCS schedule. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, this is Fear Dragon, and welcome to another episode of Breaking Out. Today we have Clarity Gaming's SaroVati playing his Protoss vs Zerg, so we're going to go ahead and jump into it and introduce the players. As we spawn down here on top of actually an American Zerg player, and a pretty fantastic one if I do say so myself. It is going to be representing Team Evil Geniuses. Evil Geniuses, Suppy. Suppy, one of the absolute best North American and actually one of the best foreign Zergs in the entire world. Also a student of UC Berkeley, and is going to be the big enemy of this game, unfortunately. Normally you are rooting for Suppy as that American hope, but he is going to be facing off against the hero of this game, spawning up here in the top left-hand corner. He's going to be the purple Protoss player, currently representing Clarity Gaming. It is going to be Clarity Gaming's SaroVati! SaroVati, I believe, going to university himself over in Alberta. And of course, these two players are actually pretty friendly with each other, just kind of doing some practice games. Actually, pretty recently also played in the Collegiate Star League, some sort of singles tournament, and they end up facing off against each other in the finals, where Suppy did, I believe. Well, actually, you know what? I don't want to spoil too much, but Suppy definitely played very well in that series, as did SaroVati. And, I mean, they actually mentioned that they had played some practice games with each other, so we'll have to see how they decide to play this out. We do end up seeing a spawning pool going down for Evil Geniuses. Suppy is going to be doing that before that hatchery. Doesn't want to take any chances, and, you know, he is up against a player like SaroVati, and SaroVati has actually said himself and just honestly shown himself. You don't even need to hear him say it. He is a very innovative player and likes to do a lot of crazy things, so sometimes it makes a little bit more sense to play a bit more safe and reserved against that kind of player. But we'll have to see. At the same time, SaroVati could do something crazy cool economically and be a little bit greedy in that sense. So we'll have to wait and see what is he going to end up doing. He is actually mining off of both these guys. He's going for that gateway expansion, it looks like. But again, you never can be too careful against a player like SaroVati. So of course, Suppy going to be scouting out with that Overlord. He is going to see, hey, okay, no wall in over the natural expansion. Of course, this is one of those maps where it's a little bit harder to go for that forged fast expansion, just because it is a pretty wide choke point to go through. And of course, getting the cannons over here means that your nexus on this side is not exactly covered once those Zerglings are actually able to get in past if you don't actually get up your photon cannon up in time. But we're not going to see any of those shenanigans actually going down, because Suppy is just getting up that natural expansion hatchery, going to be going for a very fast third expansion. Actually, this is a third expansion that you would normally time if you were up against a forged fast expansion. So, gonna have to wait and see how well this will actually end up working out. Very soon he's going to scout out and say, okay, the Stalker is out. Probably is going to have 2 gas guys. He doesn't actually even really need to scout that out. He's going to end up probably losing this Overlord, though, to this Stalker. So that's going to be putting 1 point on the board for Clarity Gaming. SaroVati, he's going to be feeling pretty good about that. And at the same time, SaroVati going ahead and taking that natural expansion. But does SaroVati know what exactly his opponent is up to? No! SaroVati has not actually bothered to scout out anything. Only just now going to be scouting out with that Mothership Core and that Stalker. No Zealot to accompany it, as there has actually normally been a Zealot Stalker Mothership Core pressure going on from Protoss players, but SaroVati just kind of skipping the Zealot right now. Just going to be doing a little bit of light pressure and scouting with those initial 2 units. And we'll have to see how much damage he can actually do, as there aren't actually too many Zerglings out on the map right now. Only 4 Zerglings going to be on the way just now, and It's going to be a little bit before they actually are able to pop out and do a whole lot, especially considering gas geysers are only just now actually going down over the natural expansion. So he doesn't have Zergling speed. The Stalker will easily be able to kite those Zerglings and just do a little bit additional damage to them. And of course, this does require a little bit of finesse in terms of control, moving back and forth, making sure you do not lose that Stalker, but getting some vital scouting information, and of course, seeing that third expansion is oh so important. And behind this, we do end up seeing a Stargate going up, but look at this, the Stalker does actually get captured by those Zerglings. Unfortunately, it looks like SaroVati losing control of that Stalker for just a split second is going to cost him, and of course, now Suppy has a large number of Zerglings. No Zergling speed done just quite yet, but SaroVati does have a couple of sentries over at home just to back this up. He might have to end up wasting a couple of force fields though, but the Stargate actually over at the front, a very interesting position to place the Stargate, as this is going to be very easily scouted out by Suppy. I mean, it's right there. He just pokes up his Zerglings, doesn't have to sacrifice this Overlord over here to get the scout off to see what exactly SaroVati is up to. But regardless, we do actually end up having, I believe, the second Phoenix coming out right now. Yeah, the first Phoenix just looking around for that Overlord. And he is going to actually find him exactly on the attack path for it, as the Overlord is just like, no, run away, ah! Of course, the Phoenix just does not care. The Phoenix is actually moving so fast that he can just kind of stop and move every so often. It's kind of like, this, just like resting your foot on the wheel a little bit. Not the wheel, the gas pedal. Resting your foot on the gas pedal. Resting your foot on the wheels, a little bit distressing, and I'm pretty sure that would actually make any kind of co-pilot very, very, not feeling too good about that. But regardless, we do end up having Suppy, of course, scout out that Stargate through those Phoenixes, attacking those Overlords, is going to be throwing down the Spore Crawlers. In the meanwhile, just kind of poking over here at the third, seeing that SaroVati is in fact not going for some sort of 2-base all-in. Grabbing an 8-minute, or actually more like a 7-minute third expansion, so a pretty quick third expansion coming out of SaroVati. We'll have to see how well he can defend it. I don't think he should have too many issues, just because it doesn't look like Suppy is going too all-out to balls to the wall aggression just quite yet. He is going for the double evolution chamber, probably going to want to get up the +1/+1 upgrades before he actually gets too aggressive. But in the meanwhile, these Phoenix just trying to do a little bit of harassment damage. Looks like they managed to kill off 2 drones so far this game. And they might actually be able to get a queen right now, and that would actually be a really, really nice win. This Spore Crawler, unfortunately, out of the range of those Phoenix, and, you know, getting whatever damage you can is really, really ideal. And, you know, by picking off one of those queens, you can see now Suppy dropped down to 2 queens, only just now going to be starting that third queen once again, so he's going to be falling a little bit behind on those larva injects. And with a 4th Phoenix coming in over here, he might actually be able to go after that other queen, but no, it is going to be hugging that Spore Crawler like it was married to it. But Hydralis should be out very, very soon, and that should put an end to the Phoenix aggression after a decent number of the Hydralis come out. You can't actually stop the Phoenix with just 1 or 2 Hydralis. You actually need a handful of them, because otherwise Phoenix just lift them up and are just like, well, you're actually a light unit and I actually do extra damage to you, so you're actually just going to die immediately. But we'll end up seeing whether that's actually going to be the case, because in the meanwhile, SaroVati going for that Twilight Council, getting some of those upgrades, getting that +1 weapons upgrade, kind of chrono boosted out, a good time to actually get those upgrades, because his opponent, as he saw, is going for those double evolution chambers, and those double evolution chambers with the Roach Horn means he's going to probably be going up against a Roach Hydralis play. Now, Roach Hydralis, a pretty strong army composition actually in direct engagements, but you can just remax on them so easily, especially if you have the big economy that Suppy's going to be going for with this 4th expansion to actually just power them out. So we'll have to see how does SaroVati deal with it, because a Protoss player on 3 bases is not something to scoff at all. And we actually end up seeing Blink coming out from SaroVati. Now, he has a lot of sentries actually retained from the early part of this game, and is now going to start to warp in some of those stalkers. So he's going to have a pretty interesting unit composition. He's going to have a lot of sentries for all those good old force fields, maybe even get in a couple of guardian shields for those Hydralis. And he's going to have a lot of Blink stalkers and a handful of these Phoenix just to kind of poke around the map. These are almost substituting for observers right now, because they can scout out ahead, make sure that he's not going to be completely out of position. As long as he actually manages to lift up these Hydrals, he's going to have to be very careful though, because he's going to have to back out against this many Hydrals. This is just a few too many, but again, that gives SaroVati the knowledge he needs. He knows now that the army is moving across the map. He knows that he has to prepare for it. Warps in another round of units, but is he going to be able to defend against this? It looks like the Magic Core just narrowly being able to survive by throwing down that Time Warp, stopping those Hydrals from just getting directly underneath it, but he's going to have to cancel that pylon. And it's actually something worth noting that really SaroVati has not been able to establish any kind of proxy pylons. Really, his vision was shut down really heavily considering he's gone for that Stargate tech. And this just goes to show what a great player Suppi actually is. But of course, everybody knows how great of a player Suppi is, as he has done quite well for himself. Really curious to see what SaroVati has planned for him, though, as we do end up seeing +2 weapons being researched and actually Crota boosted out. Should actually be finishing up just in time for this push, but look at this army composition. Again, a lot of Stalkers with Blink and a handful of Sentries, and I will tell you something, that Hydrals normally will decimate a gateway-based army. But if you get some Blink Stalkers and you have the good enough control for it, you can actually do pretty well against a large number of Hydralists. And we're going to end up seeing a SaroVati trying to find a good position. He's going to have to be a bit careful, though, because all those Hydrals will have a great concave setting up if he tries to move in over there. Really interesting. Oh, I love that play. Going for the time warp on the ramp, just making all those units a little bit slower to try and get into a defensive position. And does give SaroVati a great position to actually defend, or be aggressive, I should say, against all of these Hydrals and these Zergons. Gets down the force fields as well and traps out so many of them. Not even really having to utilize that blink just quite yet. Just going to continue to push in over here, using those force fields because he has so many sentries and so many sentries still left over. Now we're going to end up seeing the Phoenix even coming in, picking up a lot of those Hydrals. The Overlords trying to defend, but they do not have an attack, unfortunately. They wish that they had Banelings inside of their little cozy whatever carapaces, and there we end up seeing the GG coming out from Evil Genius's Suppi, and we end up seeing Clarity Gaming's SaroVati taking that game in his Zerg versus Protoss matchup. Or I should say Protoss versus Zerg, because we are referring to him, but really well done by SaroVati, and just a really cool timing push. I like the unit composition that he did, and of course, using that Blink Micro, and just, I love, I have to say, the biggest play that he actually did was laying down that Time Warp, just kind of sneaking the Mothership Core in around, laying down the Time Warp here, and laying down another Time Warp here. Made it so much more difficult for Suppi to react, as all of his units are over here. And of course, with Stalkers, I mean, they're super fast. You just walk straight back up to the other ramp, and you can actually get all the way in over here. And now you have this giant concave, instead of just kind of coming up this ramp against a giant concave sweeping around your army. It made the huge difference and allowed him to get up the force fields he needed to win. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this game, and hopefully you guys will decide to tune in tomorrow for another exciting episode of Breaking Out. Tomorrow we're going to be doing the Protoss versus Terran, featuring Clarity Gaming SaroVati. Hope to see you there, and have a wonderful night, guys.